Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Devs, back with another Kamihime project pre-event video. Now, before I get into this, there's a few things I want to mention. There should be another video getting posted around the same time as this, and that would be a video where I pretty much did another test run on SSR Diablos, and I've also looked into a few things. Apparently, there's another Guardian Angel boss that got released on DMM, so maybe in a future video I'll end up taking another look at some of the stuff for that, because the Guardian Angel fights will definitely open up some very interesting things. But anyways, getting into this, this is a brand new event that we're going to have on Nutaku. And if I remember correctly, the DMM said for English as well, because it's not based off of JP, it's based off of China, from what I've heard. Either way, this is going to be a new event for anybody that's not playing the Japanese version. So that's the whole thing with that. What Python's going to be is a darkness one, so anybody that knows me knows I have a field day whenever a darkness enemy appears. So that's something. But it's an advent event, so you're on your own. There's no help from anybody else. So just make sure you're leveled up sufficiently or whatnot. Quite frankly, Light's got an extremely good selection of Kamihime, and it's only going to get better. So it's not too hard to build them up if you've actually got some. If you don't, then keep in mind that when you're facing against Darkness or Light, you never take weakness damage, so that's something to know. So you can use any team that's your best one, but Light's going to have the biggest effect. But as per usual, Advent events, you have to go in, keep farming different difficulties and whatnot in order to get the materials. Preferably, you want to be able to do Ultimate, because it even says it right here is the most efficient way to collect materials. It's not as tough as you would think, considering a lot of the content in the game, but for the people starting out, it could be. If you can't do Ultimate, do Expert. If you can't do Expert, then you definitely need to get stronger. So that's something to know. Now, as per usual, they have a little recommendation system on what you should get. Me personally, I ignore this and go by these standards. If you want the SSR weapons, go after them. If you want the SSR Dolan, go after it. Definitely get every gacha ticket you can. Free pools. Period. The only exception to that is maybe the raid gacha ticket, because if you're like me and have all the raid Kamihime, that ticket's useless unless you somehow want, say, a vigor water weapon, which we have in there. Other than that, there's no point in getting the raid gacha ticket if you have all the raid Kamihime, because it's only going to feed them. Unless you want some SR weapons, maybe, because those are guaranteed SR, I do believe. But there's also some decent SR weapons that may or may not be in the list as well. So, depending on their effects, you may or may not want to go after those as well. I know those players starting off should probably look into that, because some of them come with 2 effects, and others come with some special ones. It's worth looking at. Definitely get the half elixirs if you need them, but me personally, I've been racking up on them so much from the gym gacha that I honestly don't even go after these anymore. So it's up to you on the half elixirs. I mean, if you want more refills, so be it. But I can keep filling my AP up to 999 a lot. So that's just saying something. And I've been playing this game a little bit more often, so I've been burning through quite a bit of AP. There's also soul points. Anybody still trying to get mastery points or even trying to unlock souls, definitely go after the soul points, because you can get up to 600 of these, so that's something to know. Magic jewels. I would suggest going after these after everything else, but they can indeed help, because slot extensions and more pools. If you don't get the slot extensions, you can get up to 3,000 of these. There's also Grimoires. These are dependent on how much you need. I know I need to start farming a lot more, because if I'm going to get all of my light characters fully leveled up, I'm going to need 18 gold books. So yeah, that's considering what I have right now. There's still a possibility I can pull more. And then on top of that too, there's still pretty much any sort of thing you might need to fill the gaps in when it comes to that. Silver books are kind of easy to rack up depending on what you do. Gold books are the harder ones to get because you'll want to be awakening Kamihime, and then when you do awaken them, you'll be using even more. To fully upgrade an awakened Kamihime will take, I think, about 4 or 5 silver books and then 11 gold books, so that's something to know. And then don't ever worry about the Fender SR weapons because you don't need them. There's so many other ways to get the Fender now. Unless it comes with a second skill, then maybe worry about it. And reinforcement materials, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. You can grind quests for those. You can grind the event for those. Don't ever do it. So, if it's some enhancement materials, don't ever get them. Period. It's a waste. But, oh, and there's one more thing, too. The, cores. Depending on what happens, you may or may not need to, use your cores to trade for, Dragonic Eye Shards. Me, personally, I figure you should try to get the Dragonic Eye Shards because they're kind of hard to come by. But, at the same time, you may need to save them for final weapons, because the final break weapons, you'll use those, so keep that in mind. And one of the SSR weapons do get a final break later down the line. I'll go over it. Now, here's what we're going to go after when it comes to these SSR items. It's going to be a Dark Eidolon. And it's going to be an interesting effect, which we'll look at later, but keep in mind, if you're focused on dark teams, you may want to pick this one up, especially if you have Anubis, because Anubis draws more power when you have more Dark Eidolons in your sub-slots, so keep that in mind. That's a big major thing about Anubis and Monogarmer, who still happen to be the largest elemental attack increases even to this day on JP. So, if you have Anubis or Monogarmer, you are pretty much having the best Eidolon for their respective elements, period, for a very, very, very long time. At least for the main effects. When it comes to sub-slots, and there's others. But, the SSR weapons, they have it right here. There is a Vigorous and a Defender mix. Now, this is an interesting combo, because Vigor tends to give you more damage output when your HP's higher, as in your current HP. You get the most right out the gate, because you have to be at full HP for the most. Defender also makes it easier to keep up on that, because keep in mind, the more HP you have, the harder it is to get lowered. And I do have teams that have near 20,000 HP, so yeah. Like, I got a few teams that can easily hit 15,000. That's the good thing about this weapon. Now, the bad thing about this weapon, Vigor runs out of its effect when your HP is cut in half. So if your maximum HP, if your current HP is half the maximum, you get no Vigor effect. Vigor is in its own multiplier, so it doesn't go to Assault, it doesn't go to Elemental Attack, it's in its own multiplier. Getting tons of multipliers really can spike your damage. That's another reason why I've been testing out SSR Diablo so much, because she gives a special attack multiplier. So that's something to know. It will be Assault times the Elemental Attack times Vigor times Special times whatever temporary boost, like, say, Sneak Attack, which would be critical. Multipliers going on the top of each other can seriously spike your damage. So it is a bit of a gamble to use Vigor, but it can indeed pay off. You may want to hold on to this weapon, especially since it's an easier one to get. So personally, I would try to max this out. Now, when it comes to the other SSR weapon, it's a large defender only. So if you do need more HP, it's there, but the reason why you might want to get this and hold on to it, later down the line, it gets a final break as well. I'll go into full details with that one a little bit later on. But anyways, getting into your usual stuff, beginner, standard, expert, ultimate, and then Ragnarok. Try to clear the highest difficulty you can, period. And they usually don't give info on the stats and whatnot until like ultimate, because ultimate's usually the one you grind at. And quite frankly, if you're leveling yourself up enough and then play the jump gacha enough, you can quickly catch up to the point where you can do ultimate, because it doesn't take that much power in order to do that. Ragnarok's a different story. You might want to power yourself up and have a few SSR for that one. And I'm not talking SSR Kami, because you don't necessarily need that. You can clear Ragnarok with our Kamihime. So, that's the whole thing with that one. In fact, you do need lower rarities for some missions, and we'll get to that later. But ultimate, enemies are hovering around like 100,000 HP. That's not much of a problem. My level of power right now, I can one-shot them with a few teams just by using an ability. So there's that. And then Python herself only has a little bit over 1 million HP. It is quite low. However, looking at this, she has the ability to remove debuffs off herself. So you may want to hold off one action before that happens. Then on top of that, I do believe it can invalidate some debuffs as well, and max out the charge turns that she has. Meaning her charges, which is 2, can instantly get maxed out. She'll also be capable of causing blind and I think it's called putrefy or something, but it's a damage over time effect. Blind is going to be the bigger issue because it'll mess with your normal attacks, so there'll be a high chance they miss. And then she also is capable of reducing your burst gauge for either burst that she does. So when her orbs are full, your burst gauge is dropping by 30. So keep that in mind. And then the Ragnarok, whoops, I didn't mean to scale up there. The Ragnarok is pretty much the same thing, only more HP, usually. And from what I'm seeing right here, it's the same case. So there's that. But she is capable of dishing out a lot of AoE damage, so you gotta keep that in mind. And then on top of that too, she's only got 2.5 million HP for Ragnarok. Again, I'm going to have a field day, because that HP is incredibly low. Even for Ragnarok standards, that is incredibly low HP. So, that is nothing. Now, I don't know why some of this didn't translate. There we go. They're suggesting you have some characters that can remove some mode gauge, and then also have like short turn cooldowns on debuffing and whatnot. It's not a bad idea, but quite frankly, this is one of those instances where I'd say break out your biggest amount of firepower. You can damage race this boss pretty easily considering it has low HP. So keep that in mind. If you're confident, unload all your debuffs and nuke the crap out of the boss as soon as possible. But don't unload the attack ones, just the defense ones, because you want to hold on to your attack ones in case you can't one-turn it. So yeah. And then there's also the suggested souls. Mordred, always a very good basic soul to have, regardless of the elemental team, period. They even suggest her here. But she works extremely well with lights for some reason, so keep that in mind. Hercules is a good one for dealing out damage, so there's that. They don't have her mentioned here, but Shingen, if you can pull off a burst team. But more than likely, people are going to have Mordred, because she's one of the first ones you should go after, period, point blank. Now, here's what you need for materials and whatnot. You can indeed save some up for when you can final break this weapon down here, this gun. But you don't need to make sure you have to do that. Only if you're trying to get multiple copies of it. Because keep in mind that the event will repeat, and that means you can get another set of it. Now, it's far easier to get the dual effect weapon that has Vigorous and Defender. So keep that in mind. The SR stuff doesn't take that much. The books can indeed take quite a few items depending on how many you're getting, but it's up to you. Half elixirs don't take that much. Gotcha tickets are very, very cheap. Get them. The soul points can be cheap, but they can rack up a lot when you're trying to get all of them. Thankfully, they take the weakest material, so it's not that bad. And then the magic gems, they can take a lot of stuff. If you're trying to get everything from all that, you will need way too many things to rack up. You're going to be running this a lot. Assuming you get 4 gold drops every single run, that is still over 100 runs within that 1 week. So keep that in mind. And Ragnarok does give a decent amount of items, more than Expert, but less than Ultimate. But it's the only way you can get these cores. And there is an occasional chance you might get more than 1 core. It's happened to me at once. So, yeah. A Platinum chest from Ragnarok has a chance of dropping an extra core. Or one of the SR or SSR items, so keep that in mind. Now, here's a reason why you might actually want this Adon, because she's very good. Now, summoning her, she can put a barrier over everybody. These Adons are always good to have because of the fact that some skills really do some major damage, and a barrier can actually chop off quite a bit. And then there's also her main effect, which is elemental attack for dark, but also increases defense. So that's something to know. This can make your dark team a little bit tankier, but defense and damage cut are 2 separate things. It literally takes like a good 400% defense in order to get a massive damage cut. I'd say like 100% defense is maybe like 20% less damage taken, something like that. And then her attack power is not that great, but her HP is way up there, so keep that in mind if you are indeed using her. If you have Anubis, you should go after her. That is a guarantee. Try to get extra copies if you can, because she can drop from Platinum chests. And then, like I said, there's always the dual weapon for this, so there's that. If you're going for burst teams as well, you may indeed want to get the SR weapon because it is a burst damage increase, so it's pretty much going to be Exceed. So that's something to know. Exceed increases not only the damage you do with burst, but also the maximum potential of them. So everything has like a hard cap, and that increases the hard cap. Because when you hit that hard cap, your damage from that point on just shrinks. Because say something has a hard cap of like 700,000 damage, once you get past that point, anything past that 700,000 is reduced by 90%. So say you do 1 million, and the hard cap is 700,000. Then it removes the 700,000 from that, making 300,000, and then divides that by 10. That's the extra damage you're dealing, which really adds up to only 730,000. When you could be doing around 300,000 more. That's the whole thing with hard caps and all that. So it hurts, but it's just how the game is designed. Also, another thing too, for those of you that managed to luck out and get a phantom weapon from the Ragnarok raid bosses, which I haven't so far, you may want to pay attention to the weapon type you get for these weapons. So there is an axe. I know that's got a very good effect. The staff is going to be very good for healing based setups as well, because the ascension boost will be very substantial. I forget what the gun does, but I think it was a good one. And then the glaive is I think the glaive was a good one too. I forgot what the phantom effects do, because you need 6 copies of the weapon in order to really activate the effect. The phantom weapon itself counts as 1 copy, so you really need another 5. So yeah, more than half your grid needs to do that. So you may actually want to go after these SR weapons depending on your Phantom weapon setup too. Keep that in mind. Now, these are the missions you're going to have to do. It's a good thing I beat up my water team too for this one. But simply put, clear expert and above without using the elixir, meaning no revives. Clear expert and ultimate with SR Kamihime or below. Clear ultimate with R Kamihime below, and clear ultimate with water Kamihime. So if you want to do everything in one shot, you're going to have to clear expert with SR and below, ultimate with all water Kamihime, and then clear Ragnarok without an elixir. So do all that. And then of course you do it 5 times, you get half elixirs from that too. Those are missions that you can get. And I suggest doing them too because it's extra materials, and then you can get Dragonic Eye Shards from this as well. So if you do it right, you get 3. Now then, like I said, I'm going to check out this weapon because I'm curious to see if they did give it a final break or not. Yeah, I don't know if they gave the info for the final break. But it is said that in a repeat it's going to get one. So that's something to know. Although me personally, I think both of them should get a final break. Because usually when it comes to these dual weapons, it'll be something like, say, the small becomes a medium or the medium becomes a large. Occasionally they might merge the skills. So yeah, there's all that. But Python, she can be very good. This is the full list of effects, really. It's 20% and then 5% defense. So my guess is it'll go 25, 5, 25, 10, 30, 10, and then 30, 15. Something like that. The only issue is the simple fact that her attack power is seriously low. Seriously low. There are lots of SR that can probably beat out her attack power. She is very HP oriented. But almost 1,000 HP is a lot. And then we have one more thing I have to go over. Because there is going to be a new Kamihime. I don't know if she's limited or not. It'll tell me right here. Okay, she's not limited. So, this is who we're working with. Light Athena, who's going to be a defensive type. She's got an arcane weapon, so that's something to know. Releasing her gives you an arcane weapon. Now, here's how she's set up. She's set up to be a tank to the T. If you have her, she is pretty much like a light version of Gaia, for anybody that knows her. So that's the best way to really sum her up. Her burst will recover 3,500 of her HP. So that's something to know. Her first ability, it will make all single target and random target damage go to her for 3 turns. Her attribute resistance towards dark goes up as well, but it also consumes 10% of her max HP. I don't know if it's per turn or not, but she attracts all the damage to herself. Now, why is it just elemental defense and not a normal defense? Because her second skill, from what I've heard, gives her a patience buff. What that is the fact that it gives her a massive defense increase, and it only gets even better as her HP drops. When she is near dead, her damage gets cut to 10% of what it normally is. That's how insane that is. And then you can get another raw damage cut of 25% for everybody. So combining that damage cut with her second skill, she can indeed stop taking damage for like 1 turn. It's possible. Because one's defense and one's damage cut. Another thing too, whenever she gets hurt, her burst damage will go up, so she starts stacking Exceed. It was literally stackable. And then at the beginning of the battle, it says give indecent. I forgot what that does. Oh, that's what it is. It's an instant revive. So at the beginning of the battle, she'll survive one fatal blow. So she's got an instant revive. If you're looking for offensive Kamihime, she is not your type. She's not bad if you get her, though. Because she is very tanky, very defensive. She can instantly revive herself and all that. She's not bad if you can pick her up. For defensive setups, she'll really help. Because quite frankly, if I was really trying to get a defensive team, I could have her. I could have Soul. I could have Eros and Shamas. And I will be tanking for days. I can spike it even further by swapping somebody out for a Tum or even Trish Trya because they can heal pretty nicely too. So that's something to know. So if you do pull her, she's not bad. If you don't get her, don't feel too worried about it unless you just really like getting light characters or something like that. I don't mind getting light characters, but only if I can really get some offensive ones at this point because I don't need anything else for them except for maybe Monic Armor. But that's also the other reason why I'm glad I got SSR Diablos. Like I said, she's very good. I got another video for that one. But anyways, speaking of other videos, that's all for this one. There will be more videos on this later down the line. Because I'm definitely going to do the Python event and try and get as much as I can from there. Hopefully a lot of gold books because you can get up to 10. So, anyways, that's all for this, guys. Take care.